Showtime. And we are live, gentlemen.
Yep.
Hello. Welcome to going through the NJO first time. Again, this is Walrus. This is also his first time. And we are discussing the new Jedi Order novel, Traitor. Now, first off, what are everybody's thoughts on the novel?
Walrus, you want to go first?
Sure. I enjoyed it for the most part. Yeah.
Yiannis,
we'll get into
your thoughts?
the details.
Yeah.
I think I'll just leave it at that.
Your thoughts on the novel?
We'll also talk about the details later. I love this book. So when I first read it about a year ago, I started out in the morning. It was around, I think, we had theater class or something like that. And we were waiting for the teacher. And before I even knew it, I read 50 pages. Then throughout the day, my face was glued to the book, basically. Then even when, but later on, I went to history class, and the teacher thought it was a good day to start, penalizing us over using ChatGPT to write essays. But even then, my head was in Traitor. And later on, when I was returning home from school, I was like, I'm not going home. I'm going to the park, and I'm finishing Traitor. So I finished Traitor in a day because it's just that good of a book.
I can see why, and honestly, as going through it myself, like I really, really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I did really enjoy this book. There's a lot of like really big moments in it that make you go, "Oh, that's interesting." And I know early on, I made a meme and showed my distaste for Vergier. For the record, I don't despise her anymore. I just fundamentally disagree with her. I think her teaching is flawed. It's got some good points, but for the most part, I think it's flawed. And what I find interesting, though, when I explained how much I didn't like what she had to say, what I found interesting was that, and I mentioned this to Yiannis before the stream started. There were two big things that people sort of gave me stuff on. I don't want to. I'll say crap, but people gave me crap on about it when I mentioned it. The first thing was that when I said I disagreed with Vergier, like fundamentally, people jumped to the gun saying you didn't get it. I'm like, no, I got it. I knew exactly what the book was trying to say. I just didn't agree with it. It's literally that simple. I fundamentally disagreed with her. You know, like there. You know how there are people like how Mark Hamill's like, I fundamentally disagree with what you did with my character in The Last Jedi. That's how I felt with Vergier. I fundamentally disagree with this character. So I honestly, you know, I can't stress that. So the other reaction I got, the way people defended her, you would think I insulted their sacred cow, or in this case, their sacred bird. Can't wait to see you and Alex go at it over Vergier. Sadly, Alex might not be on tonight. He came under the weather, and because we just found out last minute. So hopefully he comes on, but if he's not feeling well, what we'll do is when we start Destiny's Way, the next book, we'll give Alex a little abridged portion at the very beginning of the stream where he can ramble on about what he loves about the book and all that. So yeah, so obviously we all liked the book. We all enjoyed a lot of the aspects, even if we didn't agree with every single little thing. But with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So the first thing Vergier tells Jason when he wakes up is that he's basically dead in the galaxy. Like,
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, until Nazo comes back. The book, let's start by saying it starts off around 1 year after the events of Star by Star.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason's basically being tortured this whole time.
Yeah. So I apologize that for my stream popped me out. So
Okay.
all right. So and then the first thing she does while he's in the embrace of pain is that whole poor Alex, hope he feels better. This is getting out of hand now. There are two of them. Yes. But anyway, the first thing that popped in was her basically saying everything I tell you is a lie. So I kind of took that at face value because like again, I with the point of hindsight, I know where this ends up. Now obviously like everybody's saying, oh, don't jump to hindsight, jump by the book, but I couldn't help it. I'm like, especially considering most of the stuff she was saying sounded exactly like the type of stuff I heard from Darth Plagueis. So,
yeah,
sue me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vergier gives him a lesson about a shadow moth, and this is the one thing about Vergier's teaching that I really liked, is that it mirrored a lesson that now obviously because this came first, but I had seen this lesson before when I watched the show Lost involving John Locke, that he was talking about a moth. And the basic lesson was basically you need to struggle in order to become something stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And that her helping him would have weakened him somehow. And then this actually brought me to like a particular principle. We'll talk about it later. So I do have my own personal notes for this. It says, Jason takes strength from the lesson. My personal thoughts, there's a difference between pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people join live stream about Darkness Trilogy and Legacy of the Force when you get yeah, planning to.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing about Vergier was that like there's a difference between necessary suffering and pain and unnecessary suffering and pain, and like she kind of had the power to help Jason throughout this entire thing. Instead, she kind of, and I'm going to use a term not a lot of people like, she basically groomed and manipulated him in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because she kind of psychologically tortures him using like visions of stuff. And I'll like I said, I'll get to it when we get there, once we get a little deeper. So Nominor studies Jason's progress, tells Savongla his plan to turn Jason into a Vong believer. Savongla believes they can succeed. So yeah, their whole plan basically in this book is to turn Jason into one of the I forgot which of the twin gods it is, but they want to turn him into like the physical manifestation of that god, so that when he faces off against his sister, he'll straight up kill her, and it'll be a sacrifice worthy to the gods.
It's Yun Yamka.
Yeah, I heard tapping on the keyboard, basically, which made me realize, oh, you're looking up on Wikipedia exactly who it is, Yun Yamka. But let's see. So Jason is finally removed from the embrace of pain after like learning to endure all that pain. Pain he wouldn't have to learn to endure had Vergier just like gotten him out of there. But I digress. And I'm getting to a point I have about this. Vergier warns Jason not to attack the guards and make them hurt him. And then another personal note, like he hasn't already been hurt, at least this way he'd take a few Vong with him before he dies. That I got a little morbid with this book. I'm like you haven't already been hurting and psychologically torturing this kid. She explains a world seed. Oh no, maybe that had been Stover explaining. Hang on. Mentions how Duro and Belkadan are no more than weapons factories to be abandoned. Another note, because of course they don't care. Of course the Vong don't care. Vergier calls a slave field a playground. Yeah, that's that's one of those ones that made me like just kind of like, are you mentally disturbed? No, the way she explained, well, the way she explained it, I suppose, as far as I can think of, the way it was explained was that she was basically saying that the Duriams use the slaves like people playing with toys, like kids playing with toys.
Mm-hmm. Which is true. That's how
that just shows me how screwed up the Vong are and why they need to be eradicated. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This book, it kind of had the opposite effect a little bit. Kind of made me a little racist against the Vong. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you have some use on Vong prejudice, huh?
Yeah. Convinces Jason that the pain and suffering breeds new life, and only the strong survive. And another personal note, I said, her philosophy is very Sith-like.
Yeah.
See, that's something people don't like to talk about. And I've mentioned this before. The Sith philosophy is very practical. It's just not very moral. Like, there's a difference between practicality and morality.
Yeah, but everything I tell you is a lie.
Bullshit. I mean, if she were actually lying, if she were actually legit lying, then, but yeah, I get it. It's supposed to be how she views things, her point of view. The one thing I say is, your point of view is stupid. This is one of the reasons why I used the Always Sunny clip of telling her to shut up, bird. But, yeah, so let's see. Vergier stabs Jason in the chest with a Coom spore. Oh, yeah, that's right. She put a slave bug in his chest by stabbing him in the chest. Like a bug that controlled him through pain. I'm like, yeah, and this is everybody's favorite kooky mentor bird. This lady who just kind of watches this young kid who's already having like a midlife crisis in his teenage years, like he's 30 years old or something, having a midlife crisis in teenage years. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to cause him incredible pain and mess with his head.
Mm-hmm.
This is your kooky mentor. This is Vergier. Yay! Jace's heals an injured slave with the pain bugs. Yeah, and again, this is Jason kind of just using his Jedi skills to like help others, even through the pain he's experiencing. By this point, I think his hair's grown back and he's got some stubble now, because I know they shaved his head and his face, like made him baby smooth.
Yeah.
Vergier removes the hook after implanting an obedience coral. Yeah, pretty much. Vergier asks about Jason's chest and wound. He rightly tells her to leave him alone. Yeah, see, this is like saying, hey, we're friends, right? You stabbed me in the chest and tortured me. Go off.
Yep.
You put an enslavement coral in my heart. Go away.
Galaxy's greatest teacher.
I mentioned this to people too. I said if I were in Jason's place, I would literally tell Vergier that when we get out of this, I'm assuming if we get out of this, I am going to kill you. Without anger, feeling, passion, or judgment, I'm going to kill you. And it would either end with, I don't like her and I kill her the second we get out of it, or I do like her and I postpone her death by saying, the Snake Plissken line, I'm too tired, maybe later. Vergier acts like his friend, not like he has a choice, but to accept her help. Vergil heals his infected chest hole. So in other words, he has no choice but to trust her because, like, she's the only one being nice or pretending to be semi-nice, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, she again. I would just like to remind you, this lady that's being nice to him tortured him and stabbed him in the chest and put a pain control bug in his chest. But this is his best friend, so Anyway, watch. There's going to be somebody saying you're focusing on the negative, Anakin. Be mindful of your thoughts. But anyway, I think the dark side also destroys you physically too, like Palpatine, for example. Yeah, it pretty much does.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of how she's acting is pretty much how I expected like Plagueis and Sidious to act. Because I'm pretty sure Sidious tortured Maul during his childhood, like any Sith master does. Yep. They kind of teach you agony and pain in order to grow you stronger, so you can learn to focus your rage.
Mm-hmm.
Jason asked Vergier to help others. She refuses. And another one of my personal notes: why am I not surprised? Jason's like, you could help people.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want to. I'm like, shocker. She doesn't want to help like regular people. Vergier compares organics. She doesn't save as a gardener to flowers and weeds as to why she helped Jason. And I said that that was a garbage analogy. I'm like, I basically just kind of thinking, like, who gave you the right to play God in that regard? I get what she's trying to teach. She's like, I have to, separate the flowers from the weeds, wheat from the chaff. But I'm like, how the heck do you know that this kid you're talking to is wheat and not chaff?
Yeah.
And this is kind of. I think I really should get to the point of what I'm talking about here. So, you know about like veterans from like Vietnam and World War II, how not everybody came back from the war like the same whole person that they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing can kind of happen to like a young kid that you psychologically torture or manipulate. Especially using like pain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when you torture somebody, it's like somebody going to war. There's like deep psychological scars that you can't really like get past ever.
Yeah.
It's like there's a poeticness to the Sith leading to the downfall by justifying their good action. Yeah, pretty much. And because she offered these transgressive possibilities to Jason, like, again, not everybody who came back from, like, World War II came back sane and whole, if you get what I mean. Like, some people, like, even though they were sent to war or sent to, like, they don't come back from it ever. They have, like, survivor's guilt or some sort of other trauma that they're always sort of dealing with. And here's the interesting thing. Maybe Anakin was the type of person that could handle these types of transgressions that Vergier is trying to teach Jason, because he seemed to be doing all right. But Jason is all...
Solo or
Huh?
Solo?
Yeah,
Anakin.
Anakin Solo. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about Anakin Skywalker.
No, not Anakin. Anakin Skywalker, by the way, that's another example of someone who dealt with traumas, and even though he was the chosen one, he dealt with traumas and couldn't cope with them like a proper person can. And to be fair, I shouldn't even say proper person. I should say can't cope with them the way others can. Like there are some people that like when they come back from a war, they're like, I did what I needed to do. I shouldn't dwell on it. Otherwise, I'll just keep torturing myself. But there are other people that come back and like they become like addicted to drugs or alcohol, trying to fill the empty void, wondering why they made it back and nobody else did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, the what happened with Anakin, like I can understand and not condone what he did to the Tusken Raiders, because like you got to ask the question: if you're in Anakin's case and the Force has amplified your emotions to the umpteenth degree, would you not react that way, watching your mother die in your arms like that? And
Yeah.
it's a similar thing with Jason. Jason seems like the type of person he's already kind of going through like I said, a midlife crisis in his teenage years. And I'm like, I asked the question particularly to Vergier, how do you know Jason is the guy that can handle life the same way you can? You can't guarantee that. Obi-Wan didn't seem to snap after the Clone Wars. Yeah, that's because Obi-Wan is built different. He spent most of his youth within the Jedi Order. So his psychological profile was kind of like already better suited. This doesn't mean Obi-Wan didn't experience loss or lose people he loved, but he didn't let it consume him. Like, yes, he was kind of depressed after the war because he felt like he failed and felt like he failed people, but he didn't let it like destroy him. Anakin, on the other hand, was 10 years old, spending time with his mom, and got separation anxiety and a whole bunch of other like defects and whatnot from living with the Jedi and being separated from that emotional attachment he had already formed. It's a similar thing with Jason. Like he believed so strongly in the ways of the Jedi, the way a Jedi should react, that he was dealing with psychological trauma. And here's the thing: I get what Vergier was trying to teach him. She was trying to teach him like take some responsibility, change things. But the core issue is that Jason may not be that type of person. By introducing the concept of transgression, you have basically opened the door to potentially something terrible, because maybe Jason, which seems to be proven later on in Legacy of the Force, is one of those people that compromises every opportunity he gets.
Hey, spoilers.
But that's kind of my point exactly. Is like he compromises, and he finds justifiable reasons to compromise.
Like most
All
Jedi
because
that fall to
Vergier
the dark
taught
side.
him. Well, it's all because Vergier taught him about transgression. Transgressing into ways where you can do things without like supposedly touching the dark side, but you're always kind of skirting the bounds of that when you do that. It's like dipping your foot into like a pool full of hungry sharks. It seems like a good idea on principle, because like maybe you're live streaming and you'll make a bunch of money, but you do that enough, eventually you're going to get your leg bitten off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry, bro. He's in the comments. He's listening in. I'm trying to listen with my phone while dying. But yeah, this is just kind of my issue with Vergere. I'm like, how maybe I could see her teaching this to Anakin and Anakin Solo, not Skywalker, but Anakin Solo figuring this out. But Jason may not be that guy that people think he is. I don't think Vergere wants him to compromise, but I think it's a consequence of her. Yeah, that's my point exactly. Not everybody is built the same. Maybe Vergere is built that way, where she can transgress, do her thing, and not fall to the dark side. But that same consequence, that same event may not be the same. Because again, Vergere is teaching him based on maybe some belief of herself that if I can survive it, maybe he can too, basically. But not everybody is built like that. A lot of what Vergere does kind of reminds me, not 110%. As I've said before, she doesn't believe in the dark side. That's the problem. Yeah, that is the problem, actually. And this is kind of why I find her viewpoint to be very limited. Because she believes the dark side only exists in you. It doesn't exist in the... I'm like, it's both, though.
Mm-hmm.
There is darkness that exists in you, and there is darkness that exists in the Force. But Star Wars has a cosmology fundamentally opposite to... That's my point.
True.
Here's the thing. I'm not against that level of like going gray and nuanced storytelling, but Star Wars, as Alex pointed out in the comics, is cosmologically and fundamentally built with the cosmic black and white argument. Cosmically, the argument is black and white. Just like the battle between individuals inside themselves is black and white. It's not necessarily entirely about good versus evil. It's about individuals that can choose good or evil. But it is still about the fundamental battle between good and evil. And Vergere's philosophy, believe it or not, after really thinking on it, Kreia seems to have a deeper understanding of the Force than Vergere. I think people who say she's a Sith, though, and people who say she's a Jedi, though, and Jedi through and through are equally silly. Well, the only reason I say she's or it seems like she's a Sith is because everything I've heard from her, I've heard from Plagueis. She has a vast universe. She is in a vast universe. Is extremely unique. Yeah, I get that. But you have to remember her viewpoint is practical, and practical is a very Sith thing in the Star Wars universe. There's a difference between morality and practicality in the Star Wars universe, and Sith, in particular, Plagueis. Difference is she genuinely cares about Jason. Yeah, I have a really hard time believing that. She had, at least as far as when I was going through it, she had this kind of aha attitude. Plagues never did. Yeah, I know that. But I have a little trouble believing that she cares about Jason because she has a very aha! You didn't think about this. Aha! I'm like, I really hate that type of thing. I really hate that. That's like one of the most pretentious things you can do. Like if that's kind of like, it's another thing I dislike about her philosophy. It's very like in your face, and I noticed this in Traitor itself. When it came to, it's Alex, my favorite naked Palpatine thing. Hey, yeah, that's right. He is a naked Palpatine. To be fair, my cover of my ELC, not my ELC, but my cover of my Legends hardcover for the Star Wars comics for the Thrawn trilogy, Dark Empire. The cover sleeve I have is naked Palpatine. I got the rare one for that.
Oh,
But
you're a
let's
fellow
see here.
fan.
As I've said in the past, she wants him to basically be the herald of the new Jedi era for the Jedi. But also, Destiny's Way is going to shit on that like half, which just makes her so inconsistent and confusing. Look down. Yeah, lock down. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. But yeah, that's just so far. Like my view of Vergier's philosophy is, while I agree with some of her points and I get what she's trying to teach Jason, what she seems to fundamentally misunderstand is Jason might not be like her. She wants Jason to be like this sort of like messianic figure for the Jedi Order, and maybe to some degree he is, but maybe her way was not the best way
Yeah.
for someone like him.
The thing which people often use to,
Which,
the argument
yeah.
they use to justify Vergier's actions here is that she was trying to protect him from the Yuzang Vong, that she pretends to torture him, she does torture him, she does, let's say, treat him in that way, in order to not make the Vong suspect her true intentions, which are to escape with him and go
Yeah,
back to
to quote John Locke from the 5th season of Lost, I was just hoping for an apology.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying. This is
We'll
what
talk
makes
more
me
about
love
Vergier
the
when we
book.
get to
No,
Destiny's Way.
I agree. I kind of like I kind of really like the book because it has like kind of this dynamic that challenges your viewpoint. I'm just saying and I mentioned this to Yiannis early on. While I was arguing with people who were like, treating Vergier like she was the second coming of Christ Bird. Like I was basically saying, so despite the fact that I didn't like her, I'm also reminding you guys of why you loved her, why you thought she was a great character. Just because I didn't see that thing that you saw doesn't mean you can stop liking her. This is just me kind of venting on why I'm like, I don't know. She kind of tortured him psychologically. I kind of follow the philosophy of again what I've read in Berserk. Oh, hold on, Alex is still commenting here. See, here's half of the novel she isn't being observed, so there's no need for some of her behavior. She's probably the most complicated and nuanced character. That's why yeah, I mean, like, again, if this were anything but Star Wars, I wouldn't be complaining. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I see she's trying to teach it. At the same time, I'd be like, yeah, she is still torturing him, so that's kind of screwed up. But I see what she's trying to do. But as someone who's, like, read, I haven't done Malazan. I am going to get to that eventually. But as someone who's read Berserk, which does deal with a lot of, like, gray storytelling with concepts of black and white as well. A lot of what she does reminds me of some of the shit that, excuse my language, but some of the stuff that Guts has gone through in that manga, and at the hands of like cruel figures that are supposed to like care about him. Not because she's Yoda 2.0 or awesome Sith chicken lady. To be clear, she tortured him because the Vong were watching. Yeah, I get that. Maybe Vergier is an intentionally flawed character. Yeah, that's fine if she's intentionally flawed. I just don't like, again, me personally, I don't like that people treat her like she's the second coming of Christ Bird. Afterwards, she hurts him less, but questions him. That's what I think flawed. Yeah, I genuinely think Jason was in the right when we've gotten off topic, but he was in the right for telling her, "Yeah, you're not my friend. You tortured me. Go away."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let me see it. So let's see. Vergier compares beetles to people. Me, I say that's another personal note for me. Another garbage analogy. Jason stands his ground about protecting lives. Vergier convinces Jason with a kind of gesture that she cares. I put that in parentheses because, again, this is just me. If you guys have read the book and came away with a completely different argument than me, fine. I've got no issue with that. But to my point of view, it seems like her caring about him is a facade. Because again, she didn't even apologize. There were times where she could have apologized, could have stopped speaking in riddles and just told him the truth. Stockholm Syndrome, as moving forward above his family, Vergier is probably the most important person to. Yeah, that's very much Stockholm Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
She calls Jason a slave droid. Jason had to convince the Durian to let him help others. A personal note for me, Jason's help others because no one else will. Jason wouldn't be broken. Vergier calls him a flower among weeds. Another personal note for me says, Vergier is always one with the convenient answer. And then he could be turned, yeah. Which is why in the future to convince Jason she was a Sith if she isn't. Stop glazing for Chad. Yeah, this is tells him stop glazing. No, this is fine. I don't discourage people who defend her. I just give you my point of view as to why I don't like her. I'm like, so far she has done nothing to make me think that she actually gives a crap about Jason. What What
Pretty
does
much.
concern me when fans actually think there is no dark side and light side of the Force, and the middle gray is the best way, meaning gray Jedi are the best thing. I'm going to continue to quote Freddie Prinze Jr., even though he's not the most popular. There's no gray. That's pretend fan fiction shit, which is cool. Just don't try to canonize it, because I'm never going to buy it ever. Embrace the pain. Oh, embrace the pain. I must as I throw up. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. That's true. Poor Alex right now is going through his own embrace of pain. I'll be praying for you, buddy. I will be. Oh man, that sucks. Jason calls her a Sith. Me, he's right, of course, because she went stiff. He calls out her philosophy about he calls her philosophy above people. Philosophy unaware that to boast that he didn't fall to the dark side could lead him to fall. That's something I did think that Jason was a little too boastful about in that regard. To be fair, this isn't Stover's fault. This is Lucino's. This is Lucino's fault. The final book, Unifying Force, was titled because the whole idea was to fundamentally change the perception of the Force by the end of the series and work as an end to the E. Yeah, I get it. I still don't fully agree, but so Vergier tries her the Force is gray garbage with dumb questions like, are the only paths Jedi or Sith, light or dark? Yeah, see, that's the... Of course it didn't end, which it didn't, then logically it makes sense the direction it turned. Yeah. But people have like this point of view, again, they think that there's a gray area to the Force or that it's all one thing. And the funny thing is, it is all one thing. But that one thing includes the dark side. Because there are areas around the galaxy that have dark side aura. You can see this in video games and a lot of the extended material, like the books and comics, that there's implication of like miasma of dark side that can affect people. People deliberately ignore these things when it comes to looking at trade, and I get it. Oh, people think it's gray, or think that Vergier. Sorry, I can't see this. Vergier just Yoda, but more stealthily about it. It's actually peak Jedi, and I don't care how you read. how you read it, think that. Yeah. But that's just how I see it anyway. So if the Force is life, how can there be life without the Force? Me, oh boy, someone's trying to be deep and philosophical, I say sarcastically. That was another one of my personal notes. My counter question: if life can exist without the Force, why do the Vong only bring death? They're a perversion of life. Again, this book made me a little racist against the Vong, just a little bit. When I asked Stover directly, he said, "I thought I made it clear she wasn't a Jedi or a Sith." Yeah, no, I get what he's trying to do. There's a lot to interpret about Vergier, and my book, her alignment wasn't one of the. Yeah, that's fine. Again, I bring up the thing. She may have made a mistake thinking that Jason was like her. Because I remember Anakin being able to hack it, being able to, like, do a transgression, but, like, know his limits so he doesn't fall to the dark side. But Jason may not know those limits, and she's teaching Jason under that sort of philosophy. But at the same time, I know she eventually gets retconned as a Sith because, again, a lot of what she's teaching is practicality. And that practicality is the very same thing that Plagueis taught. Even if Vergier cares, there's still a practicality in her teaching that can lead people to a very dark place. Let's see. Jason gets hung up on the question. Yeah, here's one thing I didn't like about Stover's book, and I'll be completely honest with it. And I'll use a modern internet term for this regard. The Jedi, in particular, both Jason and Ganner Rysode, he makes them act like soy jacks. While Vergier comes off as like the Chad for like discovering this new way of thinking. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's obviously a bias here. It's not, it's not as on the nose as some people think, but it's there. I thought the unifying force references the side of the Force, like the rest of the galaxy, space, and Force visions and all. Second part of the Force that's different than the living Force. Again, I have not gotten to unifying force, but I'll get there. But I don't know. I'll have to look at that further. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another personal note for me: her philosophy is not opposite of Krea's; it's the exact same thing. Which, not again, coming to think of it, I feel like Krea may actually have a little one-up over Vergier. Also, I know it's later, but I believe Jason's entirely manipulated Ganner into his fate so he could escape. Mm-hmm. See that actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
if you Alex, you telling me that makes it worse. It implies that Jason used the exact same manipulation tactic that Vergier, and that he now finds it acceptable to manipulate people to do what he wants.
Yeah, but without that, we wouldn't get the cool scene with.
We got the cool scene. Yeah, I'm not going to debate the cool scene. All right, the scene is cool. We'll get to that. But if what you're telling me is true, he only had bad interactions with Ganner. Okay, I'm going to call bull on that because he had a pretty good interaction with him in the second half of Dark Tide, when him and Ganner were suddenly on the same side with Corn. When him and Ganner were suddenly on the same side with Corn Horn on trying to stop. Well, that's what I believe. Yeah, that's fine. But I was like, did he not read Dark? Did Stover not read Dark Tide? Because I'm pretty sure both Ganner and Jason were on the same side of trying to stop. I forgot things. Yeah, I forgot things. Yeah, but they were kind of on the same side. I didn't forget Dark Tide because Dark Tide was really good. And
They were
that's
also
something.
together on the Merker mission.
Yeah, they were, and they worked pretty well together.
Mm-hmm.
I get that Ganner probably worked better with Jason than he did with, worked better with Jaina than he did with Jason. So that's probably why he hung out with him a bit more. But the way Ganner Rystout is kind of portrayed, it's as though Stover did not pay attention to his arc in Dark Tide, even though I know him and Stackpole are friends, or at least like very well acquainted. I have coworkers that I work with fine. Doesn't mean I like them. Yeah, I don't like every coworker either, but I'm pretty sure those two are at least friendly. Because I know the last time I was at the con, the Legacy Expo, he was actually pretty disappointed that Mike couldn't make it because he got COVID.
Mm.
Heck, I was disappointed. I wanted to talk to him again. I wanted to ask him about Aaron Alston. All right, so Jason realizes life cannot exist without the Force, even if you can't feel it. You see, this is one thing I think Stover did good. He's kind of planting the seeds of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know the Vong. This isn't too much of a spoiler, but we all know that the Vong actually do have the Force. It's just so like lessened in them, that it feels non-existent. It's kind of the same thing with the Isla Lamari, only the Isla Lamari, theirs was more of like lowering their Force ability, so they wouldn't be detectable to the Predators, which their names are forgetting or escaping. You know what I'm talking about, because Talon Card had two. Two of them in his employ.
Vornskers?
Yeah, Vornsker, that's what it was, yeah. Jason questions how the Vong can exist without the Force, without life. Can life exist without the Force? No, it can't.
Yeah.
The Vong exist in the Force, but their connection is greatly diminished. Jason, so yeah, now here's one of the cool part. I really need to get to this part of the novel. Jason forms symbiosis with the Duryam, makes friends with his implant. So, of course, Jason does what he does best, which is basically the things that you're not supposed to normally feel in the Force, he's able to feel and form connections with. I'm like, oh yeah, this is classic Jason right here from the Young Jedi Knight books. He's able to form bonds even with like animals that are supposed to be super duper foreign to him.
Yeah.
So I definitely love that detail. Nominor and Vergier discuss Jason and his change and his changes and freedoms. Nominor begins planting Vong into the slaves in disguise. Okay, Jason's symbiosis taught him there are no weeds, only flowers. See, he came to a pretty based realization.
Mm-hmm.
Jason does consider the Vong weeds. He doesn't care what Vergier intended.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, it worries me that Jason considers the Vong weeds. I may be a little
Jedi.
Oh, got kicked again.
Yeah. Anyways, Jason was normally a cool guy, into philosophy, liked animals, but now he's just kind of racist against the Vong. I mean, who wouldn't be in this case? But what can we do?
Apologies, lost connection again. Yeah. So yeah, gotta go. It's getting bad now. Sorry, dude. But KFC will save me. That's right. He calls Vergier KFC. So yeah, Yeah, even though I'm a bit racist against the Vong because of like them killing everybody just coldly, I'm like, yeah, it kind of worries me that he's kind of considering them weeds. So yeah, the Vong move Coruscant and its moons, turn it to use Engtar. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember that part. Nominor doesn't like Jason's symbiosis with the Vong forms. Well, yeah, he's he's doing things that they don't want him to do. Feel better, Alex. Hang in there. He'll be okay. He just needs time. It sucks he couldn't come on, but sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you.
Mm-hmm.
I will keep him in prayer, though.
Alex,
Bergier
bro,
says,
like
yeah.
my first
go
live
ahead.
stream, I was in the hospital. Get on.
Oh wait, you got on while you were in the hospital?
Yeah, on the first Agents of Chaos stream, I
Oh
was
yeah,
in
that's
the
right.
hospital.
To be fair, he's getting the Einstein treatment right now, so
Okay.
it's a little understandable. I would be understanding if you had like cancer on your deathbed. I wouldn't want you to pop on if like you're like dying. I'm like,
Oh, man. I do it for Traitor.
I know. Bergier says this is part of training. Nominor sends warriors to grab Jason. Jason's symbiosis with the Durions and the Amphistev warn him of the danger. He has a vision of his family. Vong warriors call for Jason to start killing slaves if he doesn't come to them. Jason goads one into charging, launching him into the Amphistev, next to get torn apart. An armored Vong challenges him. Jason summons Amphistaff to make an armor, weapon, and protection. Nominor believes their plan has failed. Vergier argues it hasn't. The Jason has achieved the Jedi dream. Okay, I don't know what that means. The Jedi dream. Anything for NJO, yes. Have a good one, Alex. But yeah, like so that she must stop him from attacking. Jason takes down two Vong warriors, cuts off a bandolier of thud bugs. Jason collapses. Nominor tries to send his warriors. Jason rises. The slaves revolt due to the Durian making a deal with Jason after the deaths of the Chizopil Yanchalat. I can't pronounce this thing. Hive Mind and the Sri Yam Till. So yeah, more Vong speak. Nominor panics while Vergier tries to insist. She sends her Duryam's recalled slaves due to fires. Jason's Duryam orders the slaves to protect him. Vergier warns Nominor. Jason.
Yeah. Vergier do be like that.
Nasty manipulate. Like, I get why she wanted him to stop because she didn't want him to kill like she didn't want him to kill the last Duryam, so they could save like Coruscant, become its world brain. And again, this was his friend.
Mm-hmm.
There's an American dream, and then there is the Jedi dream. Yeah, but yeah, like so in this particular instance, I get why she did it, but I still think that like this is like a particular nasty manipulation using like a spirit apparition of his dead brother.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't the first time. This isn't the last time she's going to use it. So, What's up, nerds? Oh, hey, Rave. Just discussing Traitor. And just ripping into everybody's favorite bird lady. I said, all right, so Vergier pretends to care, warns he will kill everyone. And then he says, everything you tell me is a lie. Vergier stops him from killing the Duryam by poisoning him into unconsciousness with her tears. Jason
There's
awakes on an
magical
alien
tears.
world. Vergier visits him. Jason feels he fell into the dark side and Vergier saved him. Vergier does not remember that. And then another personal alert. But remember, everything she tells you is a lie.
Okay, side note. You just mentioned that Coruscant seemed like an alien world to
Yeah, well,
Jason. They don't know it's Coruscant yet.
Yeah, I didn't get to the reveal that it was Coruscant, but yeah, that's
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, spoilers, guys. He's on Coruscant.
Yeah. I still need to read it. I think Vergier was cooler as a Force wielder who viewed the Force as neutral. But that's the thing, though. The Force isn't neutral. It has a light and a dark side, just like individuals have a light and a dark side. The only neutral people are people who don't become Jedi or Sith or some other Force group. Those are the only real neutral people.
Yeah, and again, continuing off where I was.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Shatterpoint, another book by Matthew Stover, his second Star Wars book, Mace Windu has a vision in one of his diary entries where he describes Coruscant being consumed by an alien jungle. Now, when it comes to Shatterpoint, that does play into his fears at the time, but it's also a vision of Coruscant in the future. So there's a connection there.
Tell that to Kyle Katarn. Kyle Katarn is still a light side user. Much of the stuff that goes on in the game are mechanics. And remember, there is the concept of electric judgment.
Yeah,
so that could be what the Force lightning he's using is. Anyway, offers herself for Jason to kill if he wishes. Another personal note for me, it's an empty request. She believes the Jedi killing without anger or passion is wrong. Another personal note, for a Jedi, her philosophy is very practical and Sith-like. She mentions how the Duryam Jason spares has become the brain of Yuuzhan'tar. Jason realizes what he has done. Jason realized his old self is dead, and he can't get it back.
Yep.
He asks Vergier what she wants. And yeah, this just goes further into the Force is a tool, Jason. Sometimes a weapon, sometimes a solve. Light side, dark side. Oh, Jaden, sorry. Distinctions of insignificant difference do not fall into the trap of classification. Yeah, I'll get to the Paul S. Kemp books when I get there. I don't think that was meant to be taken literal. That's just meant to be a warning of, like, don't get too hung up on the dark side, otherwise it might actually consume you.
Yeah.
But we're also forgetting the fact that when Kyle went to Dromund Kaas, he fell under the dark side influence and was probably one of the first generations to fall under the sway of Exar Kun. So, yeah, there's that. I'm wondering if Kyle has forgotten his past lessons. She answers in non-answers and bullshit riddles. More questions than answers, like before. Another personal note from Ria said, "My God, she's pretentious." She reveals she removed the slave seed. And another personal note from me, well, at least she did something good. He feels its loss, even if he hated it. Vergio tells him he's free, but he doesn't know what to do. Well, yeah. You tortured him, you gave him direction, you stabbed something in his chest and made him a slave. So he could work with... Now he has no idea where to go, and you're surprised. Jason starts digging into the Undercity, asks if Vergier is coming. She claims to have waited for him to ask her.
Mm-hmm.
Sentences, curses used to categorize, draw lines, to fear, to after this be dragons, but that's an illusion. After this is not dragons, but more knowledge, deeper understanding. Be at peace with that. Kyle Katarn quote Jaden. Yeah. Also, Kyle's quote from Jedi Cat. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Powers aren't inherently good or evil, it's how you use them. Yet that same game also says if you get one dark side skill point over a light side skill point, you get your you get like a disappointed thing from either Luke or Kyle. So yeah, that's my point. Chuck Hool complains that Nominor being Jason complains to Nominor about Jason being allowed to free reign in the siege ship before. Nominor tells and directs his complaints to the War Master. Nominor is also waiting for Gang Hool to ask about pursuing him. Jason and Vergier survive sensing dangers. Vergier follows him like a faithful dog or cat. Or in this case, a parroting bird.
Yep.
Vergier, you gangly, uncoordinated bitch. If I get caught because of your lack of praise. Sorry, I had to do an Always Sunny quote, but just... Vergier tries to compare an animal eating to survive to the...
Yeah, I mean, Vergier has a lot of explaining to do.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
This bird sometimes.
Nazo, you just cut out for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
All right, let me go back to that. So you can still hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
I say he calls for Vergier's aid in his mind. Vergier knocks him into a hidden place. He tells her, "You could have just told me this way," to which she tells him, "Jason, this way." And people wonder why I've got issues with this bird. why I'm not the biggest fan of this character.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one time she's witty and it sounds like she's being an a-hole. Jason gets tired of following her and slams into a pole. Jason succumbs to anger and almost kills Vergier.
Yep.
Jason explains his lineage to Anakin Skywalker and how he became Darth Vader. Vergier considers what happened to Anakin as being a waste. Well, yeah, it kind of was a waste, considering all he had to do was let him see his mom for a couple times, and he probably would have been healthier. But no, we got to isolate the kid who has 10 years with his mom. Oh, this kid's supposed to be the chosen one, too.
It also doesn't help that he has a Sith Lord whispering in his ear.
Who's like being the closest father figure he has. Oh, this sounds very familiar to what's going on with a certain bird and a certain kid. So it's almost like how Exar Kun was able to manipulate Kip Duran, but we can't give Kip Duran a break, but we can give Vergier and Jason a break. Vergier stows Jason the Jedi Temple. I can see what Alex was talking about here, because there's no indication of what happened with Luke and Lord Nyax
Yeah.
with that big battle.
Yeah.
And I can probably get the indication that Traitor was written probably before Aaron Alston wrote Rebel Stand.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, you know, Stover and Alston could have communicated about what they were going to do.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, with this book, when Stover was talking about it, when he was doing NJO, one thing Alex didn't mention was that when Stover said he was going to write this book, he said, I'm gonna F with some people. So
Yeah, he did say that. I saw the interview.
also, don't let Anakin get some Naboo woman ass. He is experiencing raging hormone. Yeah, pretty much. Your horny, unstable Padawan will do fine protecting this 10 out of 10 attractive senator from Naboo, who he has a history with. All right, she continues her mind games. Jason claims to be a Jedi. Vergier betrays him to the Vong. Jason sees Nominor. Jason gives into the dark side and kills the Vong, knocks Vergier on her back. You caught all that at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lucino intended unifying force to be the end of the EU, as for record, serves as the perfect. Yeah, I've heard this argument before, but again, it's Star Wars, so they're always going to make new books. Lucino, no offense, I'm sure he intended to make this as a bookend for Star Wars, but someone should have given him the memo. Jason feels the dark side and regrets it. Vergier claims the Jedi lied and it's just the Force. My quote, to quote Darth Sidious, good is a point of view. It's a lame justification to use evil powers. Practical, yes, but good, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, it's the same thing Darth Sidious says, that good is a point of view. Well, we can blame Karen Travis and Troy Denning for what happened after. I don't enjoy Karen Travis's I don't enjoy her anti-Jedi propaganda. Even though I love her Republic Commando books, but I'll see how I feel about her later books. As for Troy Denning, so far I did not enjoy Tatooine Ghost, but I really enjoyed Star by Star, so we'll see how I feel about his later books. If he goes back to the traditional light and dark, good versus evil, I'm all for that, because that's what Star Wars is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Vergier continues spouting her cringe Sith-like philosophy. She claims the Force doesn't have a dark side, only individual. And again, my personal note, she's wrong. It's both. The Denning verse begins with darkness. Technically, it's the Alston verse, because a lot of the stuff started with him, not Denning. How is it Travis Denning that the EU would have continued without them? It's Lucasfilm's decision, pretty much. I've heard people complain about the Denning verse, as though Denning was the only one who was complicit, even though most
We'll
of
get
like
there
the
when we
biggest
get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of the biggest decisions when it came to Jason's character came from Alston, but everybody kind of overlooks that. Fair, yeah. Vergier convinces him the darkness is in him. Yeah, okay. I agree that the dark side exists in individuals, but there is also a dark side of the Force in general.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to limit the Force. Didn't Aaron Alston die, though? Yes, he did die. He died after he wrote those books. Like, after he wrote Betrayal and, what was it, Exile? Yeah. So he did write, yeah. Jason flees Nominor, angry at Vergere. Jason contemplates suicide, sees another vision of Anakin. He knows is false, decides to follow it anyway. Darkside worm that was initially warning him lets him. So yeah, the whatever Darkside worm that was in his mind is telling him, yeah, go with the vision, whatever. But yeah, like that's honestly Jason contemplating suicide. I genuinely do not blame him, considering that this crazy bird lady keeps screwing with his head.
Yeah.
And like she's even using she's even using like twisted visions of his dead brother to try and convince him to her way of thinking. And
That's
again, I
messed up.
bring up the argument, how do you know that Jason has like the capabilities that you do? Aaron Alston died in 2014, way after Legacy of the Force books. Technically, the Jason
Yeah, it
stuff
was
started
after.
with Darkness, all of which was written by Denning. That doesn't make it the Denning verse. Denning verse would imply that he is in control of the entirety of what the other writers do, even though the other writers do their own thing and just work in conjunction with him. Jason finds his way into the belly of the beast, hears someone crying in terror. The Anakin was the beast's telepathic call for prey. Or at least that's what he thought it was. Was probably either Vergere or, again, another opportunity. Jason ignores the cries for help. Jason wants to die. He gives in to hate, to the dark side. Suddenly he wants to live. He finds out the girl is real, not a vision, and his sanity returns. Jason finds power in the dark side and his own darkness. Jason talks to an apparition of Anakin. Oh yeah, this is the aftermath at the solo table after he saved the girl.
Yeah, it was a heart.
So as I said, I blame Denning for Jason being OOC and JO. No, all Denning did was plant seeds. It was all ultimately there's an insider article about this from Alston where he talks about like that we made necessary changes to the character. He says plural we as in he and the other writers working together on these books. He talks about the girl he saved and how he used his robe skin to heal her acid burns. How there were others living inside of the stomach of that thing, sacrificing some of their own to save the rest, getting them melted down. Jason mentions Anakin to the apparition of Anakin that he admired him. Anakin and Jason talk about the old way being done. Anakin was never the questioning type. He always admired Jason and vice versa. Jason talks about making a sacrifice to join the darkness. So yeah, I'm just going through my notes here. Jason explains the beast tried to swallow them all. The girl turned on him. He gave in to the dark side. He destroyed the beast and leaves the monstrous people to the well, yeah. He found out like the disturbing nature of people from time to time. And again, Jason may judging by how Jason is reacting to all this, it's clear to me he's not built for what Vergere wants for him. Jason was supposed to succeed Luke as leader of the Jedi Order. Legacy of the Force is just Revenge of the Sith. but done poorly. Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Everyone can have their own opinion on the books.
Yeah.
We'll end it at that.
Anakin and Jason debate about the Force and the dark side. Jason realizes this Anakin is a hallucination either by himself or Vergere. Jason awoke by Vergere. So yeah, of course, it was another Vergere manipulation of her using a ghost apparition of his brother. Or at least that's the implication the book gave me.
Yep.
Vergere continues her manipulation. Jason no longer cares. She tries to fill him with self-care. Nominor offers Jason the choice to become a Vong god or embrace Jedi blasphemy. Jason chooses to be a Vong instrument. So yeah, Jason just says screw it and becomes the Vong thing. Now, obviously, this is just part of his ploy because he's just kind of playing along with things. Ganna Rysode searches for Jason on a colony ship, which is basically. So yeah, now we skip to Ganna Rysode.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this whole argument before us. He recalls Jason scolding or threatening him for bringing it up. He goes it alone anyway. Encounters strange cultists looking for Jason. Ganner senses a fallen Jedi among the Vong and captures him. The Jedi warns Ganner that the Dovin Basils will strike the ship unless Ganner surrenders. Ganner asks him where Jason is. The fallen Jedi under the Ugalith masker is none other than Jason himself. Honestly, you lose absolutely nothing if you skip Legacy of the Force Fate, you go straight to Legacy. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's built up, especially since Legacy kind of reiterates the whole light side and dark side thing. They talk about how Cade's in danger of falling into the dark side. But anyway, let's get back to it. Jason's poison. No, Jason's poison knocks out Ganner. So he uses some of Vergere's tears. Ganner believes Jason is a traitor. Jason shows Ganner a vision of his impending sacrifice. Jason speaks frankly with Ganner. Okay, so Jason does the exact opposite of what Vergere did this entire time. Basically, those comics were written out of the events of Legacy of the Force of Mine. Now, yes, some reference to Legacy of Force, but those can be easily retconned. Honestly, I see it as the whole. I'm not going to ignore any pieces of the media, so let's see. Except for iJedi. I will continue to ignore iJedi. But explains everything I tell you is a lie, is from your own point of view or perspective. And then my personal note was, cue the George Carlin bullshit rant. When it comes to bullshit, I mean big time, major league bullshit, you have to stand in awe. In awe. So yeah, obviously, so wait, does this mean you don't ignore TCW and how it retcons the Multimedia project? I don't entirely ignore it. I take the CompNor implementation in mind. Remember, we've talked about this before, Rave. Jason explains Ganner was a dead man the minute he went looking for him, and Jason could have easily betrayed Jaina to the Vong if he wanted. Personal note: Stover makes the Jedi sound like soy jacks, and the Gray Force wielder. I'm using quite of a harsh word here. Wielder tards sound like Chads. The Gray Force wielder tards. That's what. Right. Yes, I remember. Jason leads Ganner to the chamber and gives him a lightsaber. Ganner knows he's good as dead, so he goes along with Jason's show for the Vong. Nominor not convinced. The Vong cheer for the Avatar of the Gods. Ganner has a bout of fear overtake him. And again, another personal note saying Stover is really taking a dump on Ganner Rysode here, making him seem like a coward. And going back to reconcile TCW mainly having seasons 1 through 5 as continuity, ignoring season 6 onward. Well, like I said, just the stuff that doesn't fit just counted as comp nor. Stuff that's like, I even had the explanation of saying that it was an in-universe holodrama done by either Phalia or what's her name, Dala, to make the Jedi look like awful people. So
I prefer the Phalia angle.
Jason has to carry Ganner with the Force. Jason leads Ganner to the services office. Jason reunites with the World Brain. Ganner decides Jason is a hero, and he is the sidekick. Oh no, I've come up with several excellent headcanons to make TCW nice. Jason jumps into the World Brain, soothes its anger through surrender and regret. Now, see, that was a good act on Jason's part. Him basically saying, yeah, you can kill me, you can destroy me, I hurt you, and I'm sorry. Ganner Rysode's last stand. Yeah. Now, even if this was a manipulation by Jason, which again makes it sound worse, this was a cool last stand, although, and I will reiterate for those who have never heard this bit before, the whole "you cannot pass" was not a reference to Gandalf. It was a reference to the Black Knight from Monty Python. This came from Stover himself. No matter how many times you cut off his limbs, he's just like, I'll bite your legs off.
Yeah. About this scene. A little over 2 weeks ago, I had a theater exam. And part of the exam was we had to sort of create a piece based on the theory of a theorist, blah, blah, blah. And I chose to do a comedy. And one of the opening scenes from mine was a recreation of this scene of Ganner's last stand in a very comedic way. So I thought, what if I take this very epic scene and kind of make it into a laughing stock?
You basically just did the Monty Python bit.
Not exactly. It was basically like also a jab at I guess nerds and cosplayers and people like that. So I was doing Ganner's voice on one side and then switching over and doing I think Nomenor's voice, and then when it got to the part where Ganner was swishing his lightsaber about, I switched it for a bit, and then I accidentally hit my leg and started screaming in pain basically, and the voices were exaggerated and such. And
that's funny, dude.
Yeah.
Jason does an all is one moment, or maybe that was Ganner. Yeah, it sounds almost like Transformers with the spark, or the all spark in the Matrix of Lear. Until all are one. Nominor's escape, Vergier's betrayal ties Nominor up. Jason wishes to help a dying Ganner. Vergier interferes, wanting him to live. Ganner becomes one with the Force. A large explosion happens. Yeah, we never actually see Ganner's death. We pretty much just imply it.
Yeah.
I think there was some theory at some point that Ganner didn't actually die there. At least for a bit. Jason doesn't understand. feels a ghost hand that feels like Ganner's, and a word go, but is unsure if it was actually Ganner or another trick from Vergier. My money's on another trick from Vergier since she seems to be manipulating him. Till all are what? Yes, exactly, Webslinger.
Yeah.
Jason tells her
another
to guide him out. Jason and Vergier travel. Jason struggles with Ganner being a hero. The vision of Ganner Rysode. So yeah, they have a vision of the future of Ganner being like the great gatekeeper for like the afterlife for the Yuzon Vong because of his
basically the god of death.
Because of his epic sacrifice. Yeah, he becomes like the new god of death for them.
The
He's
Ganner.
like you're. But yeah, no, Ganner was cool.
Yeah, and another thing which I'd like to point out is that the lightsaber Ganner is using in this scene is Anakin Solo's lightsaber.
Which feels even more fitting because it adds to Anakin's
Yeah,
legend a
it's
little
even
bit.
more symbolic.
He gets to use the saber of a late great hero before he dies.
Yeah.
Vergier asks him what he did with the Duryam. Jason explains he's teaching the Vong about fanaticism. He has the world brain on him and Vergier's side. Nothing will work as the Vong want it to entirely. They will compromise. Vergier hugs Jason, takes pride in him. Galaxy full of weeds. That's that was the last chapter, pretty much indicating that the galaxy was full of weeds.
Yep.
Or is it full of flowers? Dun, dun, dun. I am Jason Solo, and I send this message to any surviving Jedi taking refuge among us. We are here. We are waiting. What I've done.
Come down.
So yeah, that was Traitor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more of my abridged explanation of it. With a lot of, I normally don't do personal notes, but I don't know. I felt like doing it since this is like a favorite for a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah, cue Linkin Park music. Yeah. So, any other notes you guys have to say about this book?
Well, Walrus, do you want to go first? Because I might go on for a while.
Go ahead.
Right. I find myself relating to Jason a lot during, I guess his whole time in the New Jedi Order, because we were both of a similar age. We both had similar interests, and uh, looking at his journey and how it changed him as a character made me realize some things about myself as well. And at least in the New Jedi Order, uh, Jason does really become, eventually we'll get there, but he does become an example to, you know, to behold of. Um, Again, as I mentioned in the beginning, I couldn't put this book down, and in my opinion, for very good reason. It's it's one of those Star Wars books, and okay, so I might be glazing this a bit too much, but that feels like higher literature, like it could be taught in a classroom.
Yeah, I mean, what's
Because of the
interesting?
language as well,
Yeah, what's interesting
the
is that it's
philosophical aspect.
because it's such a short book, you probably could read it in a few classroom sessions, and people would probably understand some of the nuanced storytelling there.
Yeah, and another thing I think I neglected to mention previously is that this book is split into three parts. Um, I I can't remember what the first two parts were called, but the third part is called Traitor, and which is the title of the book, and Traitor is referring to Jason Solo and how he sided with the Yuzhang Vong towards the end, even though it was perhaps a fake.
It was a fake out, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, prologue was Embrace of Pain. Let me see if I can look at the other
Yeah,
parts just to
I've got
give
my
you.
copy here as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
part 1, Descent. How far in is part 2? It's been a while.
part 2 is The Belly of the Beast.
There you go. Yeah, Belly of the Beast. So yeah, Descent, Belly of the Beast, and Traitor.
Yeah.
But before that, it's the prologue, the Embrace of Pain, and then what was the epilogue called? It was like Lessons. That's what it was. Yeah, Lessons. So technically, there's 5 parts of the book. It's the beginning 3-act structure and then the end. Stover
It's
actually kind of
like
wrote
a
it like a movie, which is cool.
traditional, yeah, also like a traditional theater play with a 3-act structure.
Well, what's funny? Oh my god, I can't remember the characters' names. But have you ever seen the movie Sleuth?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
There's the older one where the younger guy was played by Michael Caine, and then there was a 2003 or 2004 remake or something that I mentioned to Stover that started Michael Caine in the old guy role rather than the young guy role, and the young guy role was Jude Law, and he mentioned to me that he in the stage play he was the young guy role. Hello, Iron.
All right.
We're just we're finishing up our Traitor stream. So I'm gonna see what we got here. So this is the a little passage from the Essential Reader's Companion about Traitor. It says the only installment in the New Jedi Order to not feature the principal heroes Luke, Han, Leia at all. Traitor is a novel
Yeah.
filled with challenging philosophies that elaborate upon Vergere and her divergent teachings about the Force. The initial story outline for the New Jedi Order series had Anakin Solo encountering a female mentor seemingly sprung from the dark side. Later versions would describe her as a Jedi sleeper agent dispatched just prior to Palpatine and Vader's extermination campaign. She is described as a member of a long-lived alien species, cute and Yoda-like manner, which would lead the Yuzhang Vong to underestimate her. Her philosophies are called Aikido-like in the outline, and the plan was for her to teach Jason how to reflect an opponent's hostile energy back at him without expending his own energy. See, that would have been cool. I'm a little surprised they didn't go that route. Yo, Rave.
Yeah, that's also an
Yes, Rave.
interesting thing you pointed out that being Jason, Vergere, Nomenor, and later Ganner, no one else is really a character in this.
I mean,
It all
Nomenor is
goes-
there, and then like one or two big Vong like Chakang Hul and Warmaster Savong La. But yeah, it's a very limited cast, which is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if I had any comments, my final comment would likely be shut up, bird.
Yeah. Appropriate after the stream.
Yeah. Because like I said, I'm glad that a lot of people like her and that they learned some cool things from Vergere. And again, if this were any other story but Star Wars, I would be like, yeah, she sounds like an interesting character with a very interesting viewpoint. But at the same time, I also can't reconcile the fact that she tortured this kid. Like, the way I look at it, Vergere should have been, I suffered, I'm going to make sure nobody else suffered. Instead, she turned into, I suffered, why shouldn't they? At least that's just kind of what I felt from her. Like
Yep.
she seemed like the kind of teacher that would just kind of pass her suffering onto her student, whether or not her student was capable of handling that suffering.
Yeah.
I'm like, shouldn't you want to like end the cycle? Shouldn't you be better than what happened to you? I mean, that's kind of how we try to better ourselves. Is we try to like, is there a way you could have taught him without torturing him? That's because you
Yep.
seem like you seem like you're open to possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're not, and you just wanted to torture this kid so you could make him your, or, groom him to be your pupil. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, this was a pretty good book, pretty enjoyable book. I'm looking forward now to Destiny's Way just to see where things go now, and I can finally start going through it now. Now that I've finally discussed this book, it's been a good long time coming, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of NJO goes from here.
Yep.
Even though, like, again, just like you said before, Walrus, there does seem to be a little bit of fatigue
Mm-hmm.
with NJO, and I feel like I'm probably not gonna feel it in Destiny's Way, but I'm probably gonna start feeling more of it when I get to the Forced Heretic trilogy.
Yeah.
At least with Final Prophecy and Unifying Force, you know you're close to the end,
Yeah.
or at the very end. But yeah. So, any other final thoughts or notes you guys want to?
10 out of 10.
And for me, it was more of an 8, but it's still very good.
Yeah.
But I do understand why this is a lot of people's favorites, and I applaud them because it's a very decent book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing from you, Walrus?
No. It was covered in the stream, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, so we will reconvene next time for Destiny's Way and the short story Elysia. Until next
Looking forward
time,
to
anybody who joined, thank you so much for joining.
Mhm.
Hope to see you guys again next time.
Yep.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
Yeah.